everybody. As you know, this is the 12-Step Big Book Workshop. My name is Lisa, and I am a student of the 12 Steps Method of Recovery. My focus fellowships are CODA, Al-Anon, and Overeaters Anonymous. I am so grateful you are here tonight. We are really going to make a big difference tonight. That's my goal for all of you. So please join me in the set-aside prayer with the willingness to have an open mind and an open heart and the gift of release as we tackle this very difficult fourth step. In fact, if you're not struggling with the fourth step, you'll have to let us all know how and why. So God, please set aside everything that I think I know about myself, my step 4, and my resentments, so that I may have a new experience with my life, my unmanageability, and especially with you. So step 4 made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 4 is so very important because it involves an in-depth self-examination, and it helps us move past blaming others, identifying our harmful patterns like resentment and fear, and gain self-awareness so we can begin to change and forgive, not just ourselves, but others. We need to forgive ourselves within that. This step is considered the foundation for all future steps by providing the honest self-assessment required to build our new way of living. So I know I've talked about Dr. Wayne Dyer before, and many others have discussed the idea that we're awake. Let me say this right. That we are waking life is akin to a dream, a temporary experience from which we will eventually wake up to our true nature. Dr. Dyer explored the spiritual perspective, framing life as a journey of learning and discovery before we return to our spiritual home. This is an amazing concept, and I remember reading this when I was very asleep in my own life. I was surrounded by fearful choices and the consequences that my fearful thinking created. What woke me up was the awareness of my being in a fear coma in my own life, the awareness that life was happening to me instead of me being in my life. I was the dysfunctional observer, much like we are in our own dream states, unable to move or make changes. When I look through my yellow lens, I see yellow because my beliefs determine the lenses that I wear, which is yellow, or whatever color you want to call yours, whatever you like, but the yellow lenses tonight. And when I look through my lenses of yellow, my perception becomes yellow. I see everything filtered through the misperception of my lens. I am in a delusional state, unknowingly most times, but with recovery and hindsight, I can see the truth when I remove the lenses. The lens is the lie, and my perceptions are warped. Therefore, my thoughts are warped also. We can even say we are in a demented state because my thoughts are demented, and they determine my demented awareness. I really hate that word, but it fits the bill. Then my feelings generated from my demented thoughts also are demented and become diseased. My perceptions and my thoughts determine my perceptions they become dysfunctional. And those feelings generate an attitude which is totally distorted about reality because I have begun the dance, looking through my yellow lenses that were warped, and now I am blocked from seeing reality as it is. I'm actually seeing reality as I am from my dysfunctional state of mind. Remember, I don't know that I don't know, and I don't see that I don't see, because I am looking through lenses that I am so used to wearing to habituate my behavior that until I wake up, I don't know it is happening. This habit that comes from all of this distortion is dysfunctional. I can't look at the naked beliefs that I have through the warped lens. The only way I can do this analytical work is to start at the bottom with the behaviors and to recognize that they are dysfunctional. And then I take a look at the attitude that created those behaviors to realize that they are distorted, and then see the feelings that came from that to see that they are diseased. And then I take a look at that, the thought, to see that they are demented. And then take a look at the perception to see that is delusional. And then we take a look at the lenses themselves through all of this analytical process to understand and experience my own beliefs. We didn't know or realize what our state of mind was because we were looking through distorted lenses. And in fact, we don't even realize we're wearing the wrong prescription glasses. Once I realized I am wearing the wrong lenses and I try on the new correct lenses, I see everything differently. I go from yellow to red. I am in a totally different reality of the spirit, and my delusional, demented, diseased, distorted, and dysfunctional attributes disappear as they are taken over by my new behavior that creates a new attitude towards life, with renewed, genuine feelings and thoughts that guide me towards a new perception that allows me to set forth my new beliefs that manifest a life of joy, peace, and abundance. So if you want to look at a diagram that explains how this process gets us screwed up and how we get out of it, start at the top and work your way over. And then when you come back around, you're back into the reality of things. So I hope it makes sense to you all. We're looking for the causes and conditions and the exact nature for the values, and we are looking for our motives. And we're beginning to see just how much our ego has been running and ruining our lives. We are in such a fragile state when we live from our ego selves that something as simple as a tiny pinprick can send us spiraling out of control. So this ego needs to be deflated to the depth we have talked about. It needs to be peeled away layer by layer like a blooming onion. We all have a biology that creates our genetics. We have no control over our genetics. We get what we get by random chance. This is my story. This is your story about our family culture. And it has determined our survival instincts and how we think and behave. So we grow up in a family dynamic that we couldn't escape. Nobody can escape their family dynamic. And my family culture determined my reactions to my life. Without awareness of this dynamic, I am doomed to live dysfunctionally at the grip of insanity. But also, my emotions and the experiences that I have because of my family's dynamics and my predetermined genetics. My emotional experiences, some of them traumatic, some of them not, have colored my lenses in a negative way. Undue fear and lack of faith are my emotional friends that determine my emotional experiences. I take the weather with me wherever I go. My psychological development from my emotional experiences and my education and the information that I got from the people around me are also a part of me. These all unknowingly played a part in what I became and who I am today, for good or bad. They are the compilation that makes me behave the way I do and see the world from the distorted yellow lenses that I wear. And we want to know the truth. What is the human value? Who am I at my core of existence? What is my true self? What is my spiritual calling? What does all of this mean to me spiritually? Not the masks I wear or the lenses I inherited. The true self has been covered up layer after layer so that we don't even know who we are, or who we are is unrecognizable compared to the potential we have missed out on. As we look at column 3 from a brand new set of lenses, we see why the set aside attitude and the set aside prayer is so important. Because column 3, as we understand it, will reveal to me my deep beliefs. But heck, what do I believe? I can't think it through and I can't feel it through. I can't read about it, but I can look at my feet, and my feet will reveal my beliefs to me about myself and my life. It also shows me what others' beliefs are, not what their words are saying, but what their behaviors are telling me about me and the way I have presented myself to the world and to them. My feet will tell me what my self-esteem is of myself. And we're not looking at self-esteem here, at least this is my interpretation of the word from the big book. In the big book, Bill describes how the alcoholic's self-esteem is often an exaggerated, quote, egomaniac with low self-esteem, unquote, complex, characterized by self-centeredness, pride, and defects like self-pity. Well, then, who am I? True self-esteem in the AA view is not based on the ego, but on finding one's inherent value as a child of God and practicing self-respect through rigorous honesty, humility, and love for others. Then we have, what do I believe about others? And who are they? In the context of the big book, the passage from the 4th step inventory, Bill guides us to examine our resentments. What I believe about others refers to the harmful, distorted perceptions and judgments that we hold against other people. The ultimate goal of the inventory is to help us transform our attitude toward others. That love and tolerance of others is our code. Working through resentments teaches us to see others with patience and compassion rather than with judgment. What do I believe about life? How should life be? What is my story? What is my philosophy and my theology? What is my psychology and sociology? We will answer all these questions for ourselves because we are going to look at our behaviors in a variety of situations, and we're going to work through an analytical process called the 3rd column, which is actually columns 1, 2, and 3, which I know you guys have brought them home and hopefully you've been working on them. If you have any of your 3rd columns nearby, go ahead and grab them, or a piece of paper will do, or if you want to take notes or whatever. We're going to use Drew again as the model. So as you're unpacking your 3rd columns with regard to your resentments, you will notice at the top it says to begin with a set-aside prayer. So number 1, pray a set-aside prayer. Every time you do this worksheet, do a separate worksheet for each individual or institution. And as I've said, there might be A, B, and C for those people, which is fine, but you're still going to do a separate sheet. We can't take 10 relatively large issues with one person and make it one sheet. It won't get the job done. So we do have to be a little meticulous about that. So if you had 10 resentments and they each had the A, B, and C, you'd have 30 worksheets. And it takes about 20 minutes once you get the swing of it to complete a worksheet. But really, I don't want to see you guys getting into hundreds and hundreds of sheets here. Keep the shark bites in mind when you're doing this. It's really not worth your time and effort to do the small ones because it's probably going to be more frustrating to do it than to experience the small ones. I'd also suggest doing 1 or 2 of maybe 3, due to the emotional drain it can have. Maybe take a walk, come back later. It's not a test, it won't be corrected. It's just an invitation to have an experience that is so powerful, but it's also draining. Totally worth it because freedom is on the other side of this discovery. And right now, we probably feel like we're puppets on a string, and we believe the string is attached to people and circumstances that determine how we feel. And we don't hold all of the strings. And when the strings are pulled, we react. We feel we're not empowered. We are powerless. So when I resent Drew is an ex-husband I was in a long marriage with. And throughout that marriage, I was in a constant state of fear while he lived the high life. As the marriage ended due to my discovery of multiple affairs at once, he was talented, the shock and disbelief brought me to a major halt. I couldn't function. I had so many issues running through my head. The times I had questioned him, the lying, all of that, never real anything concrete, but I did finally catch him. And the resentment took on a life of its own and nearly consumed me for way too long. He got way too much attention, even after the fact. So then the next is, did it hurt, threaten, or interfere with my, number 1 is self-esteem. So this explanation is going to be immensely important for you in order to do the worksheets thoroughly and have a great experience with it. And I know we've gone over it, but I'm going to go over it again just to make sure everyone's clear. Self-esteem, as was mentioned earlier, is not about psychology, high or low self-esteem, but is what is my deep belief about myself. And you'll see the I am is circled in red because I am is the prompt, and there is a small line to fit several words, but not several sentences. We don't want a whole book written here. And this answer was, I am an honest, kind, accepting wife who handles the truth, la, 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 la. So then we go over to the right column and fill in the fear part. But first, notice there are 7 boxes on the left to fill in, the same numbers you see in the big book. The definitions give us direction as to what to do with those words. And Bill added fear next to each one to see if it helps give you some information that you might not have had before. So what is my fear? I had to stop and think, if this was true and I allowed that thought in and entertained the emotions that went along with it, the worksheet says the fear may be the opposite of my self-esteem answer. And that is actually very common. As for my fear, that was true. I was petrified. I was not good enough to handle the truth. So both sides of the columns are important. But after filling in the fear side, it gave me a deeper experience of the answers on the left side. Because fear will undermine anything positive about yourself. So when we're looking at self-esteem and then we see what the fear is, that fear cuts the self-esteem that we just bragged about basically in half. So we need to know where the fear is and how it's affecting self-esteem, our pride, and all the way down to number 7. There's many scenarios you can use to answer these questions. In this particular one, you can use a theater, a wedding reception, a courtroom, a huge party, wherever your imagination can put yourselves and whoever your Drew person is on the stage, facing each other, and the audience is sitting and watching this go on. So there are many others observing this event. It could be coworkers, the people at the wedding, the courtroom attendees, friends and family, and we want them to see our Drew person treating us with respect and honesty. And then we step out of the box and get a little outrageous and creative. We don't care about social parameters, we stretch it. I want my audience to see Drew treating me as a cherished, loved, respected, supportive, deserving, strong woman, imperfect wife. So give it a little stretch. And then we go down to ambition. This is pretty straightforward. I want Drew to treat me like I am the most wonderful, important, and respected person in his life. So that's the key word in the circle that I want. And don't skip over that when you're trying to answer the questions. It really helps to have that prompt in there. I want Drew, and then you fill it out. And then my fear is he will never be able to stop lying and treating me as unworthy of the honesty. So again, that's it. It's very common that it's the opposite. And it's important to remember we're basically black and white people that are either born into addiction or have lived with addiction or get involved later in life tend to do that. So then number 4 is security. What do I need in order to be okay? And then why do I need this to be okay? So I need you to stop being a liar / cheater, speak truthfully to me and respect me. Okay, but why do I need that? Well, I need this so that I feel safe and protected in my relationship with him. So, as you hear me say that, you're probably saying, oh, she needs this horrible person to protect her. That's not a good choice, is it? And then I am afraid, my fear is probably obvious. I will have to walk away because he is a sex addict and addicts lie, and I can't do this forever. And the heavy part is all on me because I have to pick up the pieces of my broken marriage and the lies and see the part I played in all of this. The fairy tale has ended, and that's a hard pill to swallow, but marriages take 2 people, and so does the ending of a marriage. So we have to be honest with ourselves. It's not always 50-50. Sometimes it's 95-5 or vice versa, but there's always a part that you play. Different percentages, but always a part. And then we have personal relations. How do I expect this relationship should be? So this is within a marital relationship. So I wrote, husbands should be open and honest and communicate the truth as much as possible. And I don't bother doing the female version of that because clearly if you believe that about men, you generally believe it about women. And if you guys want to add that, you feel free to do that. And the fear is, I am afraid I will not stay in the marriage because the lying is a huge burden. Looking at this in hindsight, I would probably respond more emphatically and add, I'm afraid he will never stop lying and will continue treating me with disrespect. So if you looked at my first answer, which is, I'm afraid I will not stay in the marriage, again, I'm putting it all on one person. I'm putting it on me. And staying in the marriage wasn't as important as getting away from the lying and the disrespect and everything else that went with it. And for reference, I did stay another year due to my own dysfunctional behaviors and a lot of fear, but finally reached my threshold and filed for divorce. Gender relations. What is my belief about men in committed relationships / marriage? That men should not lie to their partners, especially regarding extramarital activity. I expect men are courageous enough to speak the truth, on and on and on. The fear is he will never be the man I need or be able to live up to some basic concepts that make a marriage work, such as honesty. Pretty legitimate. And then pocketbook, which I like to call cost because It definitely throws men when they see pocketbook, although some men carry them. But pocketbook meaning that's where you got hit. What did it cost you? So this is about the cost or value, is that nothing should interfere, especially with my emotional security in being honest. And my fear is that these behaviors will permanently damage me and I won't be with someone who is open and honest with me because I have a broken picker. So that's all 7 of the column 3 worksheet, which, like I said, it's actually column 1, 2, and 3, but it's referred to as the column 3 worksheet. Because all 3 columns go together, I guess, so we'll call it column 3. So hopefully you had an opportunity to do a few third columns this past week, paying particular attention to the first 2, self-esteem and pride. You'll see that they are flip sides of the same coin. In fact, if you have difficulty getting to the self-esteem because you can't look directly at it, go to the pride one. Put yourself on a stage with the other person with whom you have the resentment. Have the audience watching and ask yourself this question: how do I want the audience to see this person treating me? And write that out. Then see that as revealing to you what your belief is about yourself. So for instance, some people misinterpret the self-esteem and say that I am a piece of shit, and my fear is that everyone will confirm that I am a piece of shit. Well, in this case, you wouldn't have a resentment for somebody treating you like a piece of shit if, in fact, you really did believe you are a piece of shit. You would say they are particularly insightful. You wouldn't have a resentment at all. You would be congratulating them for their sense of great intuition. You can use the pride to backdoor into the self-esteem column. Once you have done the pride, a good way to check the accuracy of your self-esteem or the effectiveness of your self-esteem, not in a right or wrong way, but as a healthy way of looking at it. What's helpful to you to unpack the distorted lens of belief that you have is to then take what you have written for pride and reformat it into an answer for the self-esteem. I want them to see that I am an outstanding person, then reformat that into I am an outstanding person. It may not feel like it fits. Don't let your thoughts deter you or your feelings about it, because you have a habit of looking at yourself and others and the world in a skewed way. One of the clearest and simplest techniques for determining what you believe is to hear yourself feel or say the word should. I should. As that reveals your belief. You should, that reveals your belief about other people. Life should, employees should, reality should, loyalty should, all of those will reveal to you what your beliefs are. And then you can hold it up and say, is this a healthy belief? Then I will continue it. Or is this an unhealthy belief? And then I will challenge it. The whole point of this is not a right or wrong. The point is to get to the truth. There is no right or wrong when it comes to the truth. It just is. So working on our 4th step inventories is done in order to get to our truths. Therefore, we ask, what are our motives? What are our beliefs? What are the facts? Keep in mind, we are looking at the lenses through which we were looking, but now we are looking at the lenses themselves. It takes some effort and some prayer and lots of practice, and it also takes the feedback of experienced people. Each resentment is separate and is different from the next one. Even each one with the same person, different issue, or the same institution can be different because it reveals another level of our delusion. Our beliefs are distorted, and our beliefs are a delusion that means a lie. We are taking actions based on a lie, and no wonder other people are hurt and we aren't accomplishing what we had hoped we would. There's a lot of suffering in you, and there's a lot of suffering in the people around you because you are operating in delusion from a lie. You are taking actions that are not based on reality, but you don't know and you can't see until you can. And then you'll see, and that is what this is all about. The opening of your eyes to see what is really there. Next, we launched out on a course of vigorous action, the first step of which is a personal house cleaning, which many of us had never attempted. Though our decision, which was step 3, was a vital and crucial step, it could have little permanent effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and to be rid of the things in ourselves which have been blocking us. Our liquor, drugs, obsessive compulsive behavior, whatever you're experiencing, was but a symptom. So we had to get down to causes and conditions. Therefore, we started upon a personal inventory. This is a step 4. We took stock honestly. First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup which caused our failure. Being convinced that self manifested in various ways was what had defeated us, we considered its common manifestations. Remember, resentment is the number one offender. It destroys more addicts than anything else. From it stem all forms of spiritual disease, for we have been not only mentally and physically ill, we have been spiritually sick. Wouldn't you agree? When the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically. We addicts are sensitive people. It takes some of us a long time to outgrow that serious handicap. In dealing with resentments, we set them on paper. We list the people, institutions, or principles with whom we were angry. We asked ourselves why we were angry. In most cases, it was found that our self-esteem, our pocketbooks, our ambitions, or our personal relationships, including sexual behaviors, were hurt or threatened. So we were sore. We were burned up. On our grudge list, we set opposite each name our injuries. Was it our self-esteem, our security, our ambitions, our personal? What had been interfered with? We went back through our lives. Nothing counted but thoroughness and honesty. When we were finished, we considered it all carefully. Our desires for sexual, material, and emotional security and desire for an important place in society often tyrannizes us. When thus out of joint, man's natural desires cause him great trouble, practically all the trouble there is. No human being, however good, is exempt from these troubles. Nearly every serious emotional problem can be seen as a case of misdirected instinct. When that happens, our great natural assets, the instincts, have turned into physical and mental liabilities. Step 4 is our vigorous and painstaking effort to discover what these liabilities in each of us have been and are. We want to find exactly how, when, and where our natural desires have warped us. We wish to look squarely at the unhappiness this has caused others and ourselves. By discovering what our emotional deformities are, we can move toward correction. Without a willing and persistent effort to do this, there can be little sobriety or contentment for any of us. So this is my little caricature cartoon that I created. And I actually talked to you guys about it last week about creating your own. So I'm hoping that we have some people that did the exercise. and want to share their pictures. And we can certainly share them by holding them up to your camera, or you can describe it if you prefer, or however you want to do it. There's no judgment. It will be just fantastic if anybody was able to come up with their own little caricature. I hope somebody. And just share the experience of making that up, or even just how you feel about what you drew. Anybody out there do their own caricature? Carol, come on down and show us.
Hi everybody. Hi Lisa.
Hi,
I
Carol.
actually drew this last week when you were talking about it, and I thought to myself, well, what do I do when I get resentful? What do I do when I'm feeling irritable? And this is what I normally, I don't know if you can see, it's just a little drawing, but I'm in bed here and I've got the covers over my,
Go over to your right there.
okay.
So this is Captive Carol. I like it.
And I'm in bed.
You're
And
in bed.
I got the covers over my head, and I'm moping and I'm sad, and I'm just shutting down.
Awesome. So is the world turning on you? Is that what's going on? Is that why we run to our bed and hide?
Yeah, the world
Okay.
is turning on me. The world doesn't like me, and the world thinks I'm just a piece of shit. And so I have to escape, and I escape by going to sleep.
Nice. Very nice. Keep that drawing.
Thank you.
That might become a nice reference for you at some point.
Yeah,
Thank you, Carol.
you're welcome.
Did anyone else come up with a drawing? Well, if Carol's the only one, she gets to leave her. Joel, did you do one? You unmute. You got to unmute. Unmute, Joel. It's better when we can hear you.
Yeah, well, maybe not. I came up with a little one, but it's not fully recognized yet, but it's sort of kind of there. Uh, it's very embarrassing, but what the
Don't
heck?
be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed.
Can you see it?
Lift it up a little higher. Okay, a little bit more. I see. Nope, keep going up higher. Higher, higher, higher. Keep going, keep going. Okay. So, are you a juggler?
No, it's raining and I'm putting my
Oh,
hands above my head and there's a pile of gold next to me.
oh, I didn't see the pile of gold. I like that little piece. So is the pile of gold causing your rainfall?
No, the pile of gold is what I'm sort of piling up next to me, but it's raining and I'm sort of like s- sad of the rain, scared of the rain, trying to shield myself from the rain.
Uh-huh. And your
Can
gold
you
isn't going to protect you?
I don't know.
Hmm.
Could you pull it back a bit? It's so blurry. I can't.
Good. I like the blurry.
Go up a little higher. Come on, Joel, you did great. All right, now bring it towards your camera. Kinda. Yeah, that's great. When I first saw the arms, I thought you might have done a little Squidward look-alike. You know who Squidward is?
No.
That's from SpongeBob. I watch my grandkids watch it. That's great, Joel. Does that explain how you feel in bondage?
Uh, I don't know. I'm trying to ferret out my feelings. I'm very confused at the moment. It's hard to think about it. My feelings get very caught up in confusion. I mean, I love my parents and my brothers and my family very much, and I miss them all there because they're all gone. But there's some anger that I have towards all of them, and the anger is caught up with love and affection, and
Yeah.
all of those things have to be separated out. And especially my parents, they did a lot of things out of guilt, They worked really hard, and because they couldn't pay attention to me, they threw money at me. And in throwing money at me, I sort of never had any respect for it. I never learned the value of it. And I think that's part of my problem is I just, I had it given to me all the time, and I never had a healthy relationship with it. Whatever I wanted, I got, and I never just, you know, I never, I never had to work for it. I never respected it, and it never respected me. And because of that, they never really respected me,
Mhm.
because they threw it at me and because I took it and I spent it. I didn't get, I didn't work for it, and they didn't respect me for it. I mean, I did work for it, but I didn't really work for it, you know?
Right, right. Well, and keep in mind too that we can love our parents immensely, but still have angriness towards them.
Yes.
It
And
doesn't
I
being
know that,
having.
but sort of going and sort of walking that line,
Mhm.
and to coin those crazy phrases, slippery slopes,
It is a
that,
slippery slope, yes. But you're walking the path of truth because you're not making up a story here. This was what happened to you. It's your experience. It's how it happened. And at some point you'll feel neutral about it, which is why we go through this process, which can be very painful and very difficult, but we always come out on the other side of it. Because those feelings are already there, you've just buried them alive. And once we overturn that rock that we've put on top of it, we can let it go. We can't until we face it.
yeah.
So, as hard as it is, if you can just keep plugging, and you'll get to a place where maybe you need to make an amends for something, and you'll get to really express how you feel about whoever you're talking about in a
Yeah.
positive way. So, nobody on this planet is perfect. Our parents weren't perfect. Their parents weren't perfect. I wasn't a perfect parent. My children aren't perfect. My grandchildren are perfect. But everyone else behind them is not, nobody was perfect. That's just life. But we're all doing this. We're all learning these lessons in different ways. And it's not about judgment. It's looking at your life, looking at how you felt about things that happened, and being willing to release them. Because until you're willing to release them by looking at them, you're dragging them around with you. They're your addiction. Those feelings that are difficult to look at right now are what prompts you to use your drug of choice, because they're already inside you, needing to come out. So once you set those feelings free, you become free, and they become free too. Because although you might see, oh, you know what, my parents did this and it was pretty shitty, but now that I see it and I'm an adult, I can forgive them because I did shitty stuff too, and it's okay. Both goes. You release them and you release yourself at the same time. And then what you're left with is just a loving feeling towards the people. There are people on our resentment lists, like my Drew. I don't want him in my life anymore, and he's not. And I can walk away from that. But there are a lot more people on my resentment list that I still love and will always love. I might not even have a relationship with them anymore, but I still love them. There's an old saying, I love you, but I don't want to have lunch with you. So you're doing great. Don't doubt it, okay? And add some color to your drawing. Bring it back next week.
Excuse me?
Add some colors to your drawing and bring it back next week.
I'll do a master. I'll do a Mona Lisa.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Michelle.
Hey, I wanted to thank Joel. I think that's what happens in these workshops or groups or meetings is you hear exactly what you need to hear.
Mm.
And I do that the other direction. I throw money at my son and I say, well, he's an only child and he's going to get it anyway, and I'll be dead. And wouldn't it be better to see him use it now? And I never thought about it really from the other side. So thank you so much, Joel, for whatever. I mean, what you just said really, really, I don't know if it cured me or whatever, but it caused me to think about this in a different way.
Well,
And
it's funny. It's funny. The situation may be a little different. I mean, if you're a little older, and you're giving money to your kid because you're getting older and you have to give it to them. That's one thing. My parents had to work when I was very young, and they did it out of guilt because they couldn't spend the time with me. I
oh,
was
okay.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and I was like developing, and I had to stay at home alone or with my older brothers. And I was like a 4, 5, 6 year old, and my mother and father were both working hard at the store. And out of guilt, my mother would buy me whatever I wanted. If I said I wanted a bag of green army men or whatever I wanted, I just got it. And it was that kind of thing. And it lasted for years and years and years. I never wanted for anything. So whenever I wanted anything, I just went for my parents for money. I didn't have to work for it. I didn't have to do an allowance or anything like that. And that's sort of the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Right.
It's it was at a time when I would have given anything for my mother to be home all the time. And, I know my mother loved me dearly, and I looked at her and they had me late in life. And so she died early in my life. And, I would have given anything to have more time with her. And I know that she loved me, but she never really got the opportunity to just like say, I love you, and like, you know, or to just be more, so I wish I had more time, and I wish that she didn't throw money at me, but I wish she threw time at me,
Yeah.
so that's the kind of thing it is, you know, so you can throw money at your kid. I give you permission, but also give him lots of hugs.
I do that. Thank you. The other thing, Lisa, I thought this, I've done this before and I always have issues with, and I don't know if anybody else is new to this, but in resentments with people who are dead and how we do that differently. Like I'm a widow, so I really need to do more work on my husband who's been gone for 10 years. But it's much easier for me to deal with people who are alive and doing stuff now than going back. And how do we
Well,
do that?
so what you have to keep in mind is the resentments that we have are not technically about the person, even though we think they are when we start out on this journey. So we're really not dealing with anyone other than ourselves. So whether the person is dead or alive really doesn't matter because it's not going to add anything to what the exercise is doing, whether they're dead or alive. It does maybe when it comes to the amends process, but even then, a lot of people don't speak out on their amends. They just do maybe, a letter that they burn or, all kinds of different things. But the resentment, you've got to remember, is a buried feeling. You've got a buried feeling down there about the person that has passed on. And although they might not be here, that feeling, that negative feeling, is still alive inside of us. And that alive negative feeling is affecting everything that we do. That's the reason we clear the resentments, not because of the other person needs us to, or we need the other person to look different, or we want the circumstances to change. It's none of that. It's because we're carrying around a sickness from someone else. Someone else wasn't in their right state of mind when they did the things that they did to us or that we joined in on. So we can't, bring them back to life and say, "Oh, you did this to me." Well, you did. They didn't. We have our hand in there. If somebody does something to us and we don't do anything about it, then we're guilty by association. those resentments that we've got, the other person on most occasions is not even aware that the resentment is going on. So whether or not they were alive really doesn't bring anything different to the table. It would make us stop and think, well, this person's gone. What do I care? Why even bother? Well, because I've buried feelings about them in relation to something that happened between us deep down inside me. And it shows up as headaches or weight gain or gambling or sexual acts or porn or spending, or you name it. Because that resentment causes distress inside of us. And the way that we've learned to tackle distress is through picking up our addiction, whatever our addiction is. So the purpose of all of this is to get to a place where we don't feel the need to pick up to get around our feelings. We want our feelings on a level that we can cope with. We don't have to bury them or hide them or pretend they're not there. And when we're taking active part in our life and we encounter people in our lives that we feel distressed around, we'll start doing different things. We'll either not be around these people or we'll have a different attitude when we're around them because we change, they don't. Those old son of a bitches are always going to be son of a bitches. It's just the way it is. But we don't have to get ourselves all upset with it by joining in and saying, yeah, this is right. This is a crazy person and I'm going to, this and that. Nope. It's all about us. If they're gone, I'm sorry they're gone, but it has no effect on your resentments. Unfortunately, people die and they don't take their resentments to the grave. That would be a solution. Rochelle, did you happen to do a drawing?
I'm scribbling it now, but I want to work on it some more.
Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah, because you weren't here last week, but I did.
No.
It was in the homework assignment to do a drawing, like what I had done, and Herb's done it. So I thought it would be fun to have everybody do their own, and you can even hang it up somewhere as a reminder of what you don't want to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to be lost, Lisa, attached to fear and suffering and all the other crap that goes with it. Hi, Nancy.
Okay, I did a drawing. I don't know if I can do this or not. Let's see. Can you see it at all?
Let's see. So bring it. All right. All right. Now take it towards you a little bit. Now bring it back in. It's getting worse. Lower.
Maybe if we go off the main screen, we can sort of see the.
Should I not spotlight it?
No, it's not that.
Oh.
We're still seeing the faith, the screen of
Oh.
So if we go off that main screen, maybe we can see the individual screens a little better.
All right. So.
Well, what it is, you can't see it, can you?
No.
It's a brick wall with just the top of my head peeking out.
Nice.
You can see my head right there.
You know what?
Like,
put it in front of your face. Put it in front of your face because your camera's got your face in view. So try putting it in front of your face.
How about there?
Back up just a little bit. Kind of see it. Tell us the story instead.
Okay. It's a brick wall. It's like a brick fort, and I'm behind it, like right here, just peeking over. So, and then I wrote the word hiding at the bottom. Did I go hide? I go hide. That's what I do.
So that's your coping mechanism.
It is. It
Okay.
is.
And you hide really well. You get behind a brick wall
Yeah, it's
all
a
the way up to your eyes.
yeah, it's a fortress.
Mm.
So I liked that Carol showed hers because I thought, well, it is a similar response.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So then, you know, obviously, if you guys want to work on them, you can. But if you keep your drawing as a reminder of where you're coming from,
Yeah.
you know, it's a timestamp. Okay, this is when I was in the workshop. This is how I drew myself. When we get to the end of the workshop, I'd love to see people draw the caricature a little bit different with some recovery. Maybe some of your wall comes down and you're only halfway, because that's a pretty strong fortress that you have built. You know, you
Yeah.
didn't do like dirt or brush, you did brick.
Yes.
Yeah. So that tells you a lot about yourself and where you've been
It
and
does.
the need that you've had to hide behind that wall.
Yeah, I think it represents the addiction
Hmm.
that that the addiction kept me behind it.
Yes,
If that makes sense,
it
that
does. Yep.
the wall is the addiction and I'm hiding behind it.
But are
But
you peering out over it now?
yeah, yeah,
Well, that's good. So
yeah.
there's something beyond the wall that you see that you want in your life.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's always a positive side to it. You know, even though we're looking at it, like in my picture, I'm lost, but I see the path and there's my faith. So I've got a direction. So it's not all bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Mm-hmm.
peering over the wall. You've decided, okay, I've been in this fortress, but I'm going to take a peek and
Yeah,
see if I can get beyond the wall. Or do I need that wall? Do I need that fortress to protect me?
that's a great point.
Yeah. So keep your drawing.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Did anyone else do a drawing? Nobody? Well, I really wanted to see them. Well, now that you guys have seen some of them, you might feel more motivated to go ahead and make one. Oh, go ahead, Rochelle. Were you going to say something? No?
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So, you know, even if you haven't made one yet, now you've seen some of ours, you might want to go ahead and make them. And as I've said to other people, keep those drawings because that's your insides coming on the outside. You guys went inside, you pulled something out, and it's pretty important what your picture represents. And it also is like a milestone. Where are we going to go? What is our picture going to look like when we get some of that recovery that we're hoping for? You know, where does that lead us? So definitely, if you haven't done it, go ahead and do it. It's not too late, and you can always bring them in and show people because it's fun to see other people's and to hear the story that goes with it. But even more importantly, keep it as your own reminder that you went into your soul and pulled out this drawing of yourself and how important it is and what it represents. Very cool. So I could stop sharing. So then, does anyone have any questions or comments or need direction or anything about what we've been talking about? Or on the third columns, have people been doing them? Do you feel comfortable? Are there any questions about them or anything you need to understand?
You know, I think that a big thing for me, this was the last time I did the inventory, which wasn't that long ago, And I have two brothers. One died a number of years ago from AIDS, and I have another brother who's still living who didn't speak to me for 25 years. So I'm 77 and he's 73. And one night he called, and we've spoken in for the last, I would say, 10 years. And so much of this work is about judgment that I think I know what's going on inside his head. And I know what his experience was because I know that he was the favored child and he was super smart and he went to a really good school and my mother really deferred to him and whatever. And one night he just sort of opened up and we went back and forth and back and forth. And it was just fascinating. So many of the things that I thought and I held as truth were just not true. And, or at least he didn't see them as true. He didn't feel that he had been the favorite child or whatever. And there were things that my mother did to him that I didn't know because I was already off at college. And I think this whole thing about judgment is so important that, I think I know what's going on in your head, and therefore I can judge how you treat me when what's going on in your head may have nothing to do with me. You got other people to think about. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but for me, that experience with him that one night just talking was, I went, whoa, just whoa. It was amazing. So this work can really, I may not be perfect, but I'm better than I was.
Absolutely. And that's when you can sit down and talk about the truth, not what did I think happened or I thought you felt this way or that way. You just sit down and you're in reality.
Right.
You're sharing the truth. And it makes a huge, huge difference. Go ahead, Carol.
Well, I do have my column 3. I don't know if you want us to read them yet or not.
Would you like to share yours?
Sure,
Okay.
I would.
Do you want me to stop you or do you want to just go through the whole thing?
Yes, stop me if you think I'm going
I might
out.
not have to. You've been doing them for a while now. You're probably really good at it.
Well, we'll see. All right. When I resented Ariel is my twin sister. Okay. For not sharing the inheritance of my younger sister when she died, which was 2 years ago. How did this, when did this event happen and how did it hurt or threaten or interfere with my self-esteem? Okay, my self-esteem is I am a caring, helpful sister. And my fear is that people will not acknowledge that I was a very helpful sister, older sister. And they'll think that my sister, my twin sister, was the only one that was helpful because she's the sole heir. How did it affect my pride? Others should see Ariel, my twin sister, acknowledging that I share in the inheritance because I was a good, helpful sister. And Ariel announces to the family and to everybody that I, Carol, was really the one who deserves the entire inheritance because I was the one who helped her. And she didn't really help her at all. She ignored her. And my fear is Ariel will never share the inheritance and give me the credit that I deserve. My ambition, I want to show I want to share the inheritance with my sister. I need this for acknowledgement that I was a good sister and a good person.
All right. So, Carol, on that one, your ambition. What do I want to happen? I want Ariel to
give me half of the inheritance.
Okay.
Okay. And my fear is no one will know how much I helped my younger sister. Okay. My younger sister was bipolar. Okay. And she's a very sick girl. My security. I need Ariel to stop being delusional and greedy and share the inheritance and tell everyone that I was really the one who helped my younger sister. And my fear is no one will ever know. Personal relationship. I
Wait a minute,
expect
wait a minute. What was your why?
why my wife or what? I don't
Number
understand.
4, I need Ariel.
I need Ariel to stop being delusional and greedy
Okay, and then it says, why do you need that?
and to share the inheritance with me.
Oh, so she'll share the inheritance.
Share the inheritance. Yeah, my sister had over $1 million.
Okay.
And, and not only that, not only share the money, but tell everyone that I was really the helpful sister. And my fear is that no one will ever know how much I helped my sister.
Okay.
Personal relationship. I expect sisters to be supportive, loving, respectful of each other. And my fear is my sister is a narcissist and I will never have a loving relationship with my twin sister. Okay, and that goes for men too. In pocketbook, this event impacted my finances, my emotional security. I've lived with this resentment for a long time, my well being, and my spiritual relationship. Why did it turn out this way? Why did it turn out this way? That's it.
Well, I hope when you do the next sheet, you share that too.
I did it, but I don't know if you want me to jump ahead or not.
Let's save it.
Okay,
I don't
that's what
want
I
to
thought.
confuse anybody.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, let's save it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carol.
Okay.
Go
You're
ahead,
welcome.
Mark.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi. I think I kind of jumped the gun and I did 2 sheets for one resentment, I kind of had a like an experience just from going through it, even though in listening to the example, I'm sure I didn't do it correctly. So I'm just going to go through, I think, page 1. So I did the set aside prayer, the one I wrote. And what I wrote down at first, I thought it was a shark bite, but I realized it's actually like a resentment that's come up a bunch of different times. And it's one I'm comfortable sharing, even though it's like a sizable group. So you'll tell me if it's right or wrong. But so the issue, it's not one specific person, it's a group of people. And so one of my triggers, just in general, is like stupid people. And
Okay.
and I think the specifics of it is really sort of like business and like on the level of like society.
Okay.
So how it affects my self-esteem is I think I'm too intelligent for a lot of the things that I find happen in the corporate structure of society.
Okay.
And what I'm afraid of is that I will never make the kind of money that I want to make because of that attitude towards towards these people.
Okay.
So my pride is others should see me as capable, treating me as their equal or their superior. Um, and then I'm afraid that others will see me as weird because I'm not as either. I wasn't really certain, but I wrote dumb, but sometimes I think it's ignorant. Um, and let's see, sorry. Um, so the next thing that I thought of for the next line, my ambition, I want this group of people, stupid people, to treat me really well. And I'm afraid they will continue to shun me, not hire me, not buy my products, and give me a hard time.
Okay.
My security, what it should take for me to be okay with this situation. So I need the people that I recognize as being stupid to recognize how intelligent I am. And I got that correction from listening to like what Carol was saying, to be honest.
Okay.
So what do I need in order for this to be okay? So it was a little bit negative. I got confused there, but I'm just going to read what I wrote. So what I wrote was, I don't have anything else because now I feel like I'm old. So like all I have is, my intelligence, and I don't have anything else. But that's kind of negative. So I wasn't sure what to put
Well,
there.
no. So you need the stupid people to see you as smart.
Okay.
And the reason is why? Why do you need them to? Why is it important to you that they see you as smart?
Okay, got it. Because I want them to give me money and to buy my products.
There you go.
I'm just writing it down.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Thanks. So, and then I said, I'm afraid they will realize that I wasted my life failing in business, and then acting out on my different addictions and hiding out, being afraid.
Okay.
Personal relationships. How do I expect this relationship should be? I expect that I wasn't certain, but in terms of my family, I'm probably one of the smarter people in my family. And I didn't want to get into stories, so I didn't really know. I wrote, I expect people to always see how great I am. I really didn't know what to do.
All right. So when you get stuck, remember what your resentment is about. Your resentment is about stupid people.
Right.
So you would write, I expect stupid people to.
Okay. Okay, to always see how great I am.
There you go.
You got it. All right. Okay, thank you. So I'm afraid I will continue to get no clients, to not get business, just like it has happened in the past with other industries I was in, from this resentment or viewing people this way.
Okay.
So I wrote specifically like blackball because with some of the past business endeavors, that's how I felt. Um, Gender relations, I expect an ideal. I wasn't clear on that, but I wrote an ideal woman to always be intelligent and not slow like many of the women that I dated or were attracted to. So, yeah.
All right. So, Mark,
Yeah.
this is in relation to the resentment.
Got it.
So, a real ideal potential salesperson or whatever kind of people you're talking about that you feel is stupid.
Got it.
You could put a real stupid, I don't know if you could put a real stupid person, but maybe a real hardworking person should always be something. You know what I mean? You got to kind of figure out the title you want to put.
Got it.
Then you put the reason, and it doesn't have to be negative.
Okay, so a real hardworking person would be intelligent.
There you go.
Okay. Okay, yes. So I wasn't clear on that. So I mean, my fear, because I thought we were getting into sex, so I wrote, I'm afraid that I'll continue to be single and something like that because I wasn't sure what it was.
Yeah. So whenever you start a resentment, it continues all the way till you get to the bottom of the second page.
Got it.
So any of these questions, if you kind of feel like you're going off track a little bit, go back up and read your resentment just to get you back on track.
Okay. So I'm afraid that I will never be that person. So I will never be that hardworking, intelligent person.
Okay.
So, and then I think the last thing is that, yeah, I think, yeah, I struggled with 7 because it was supposed to be positive. So I didn't get 7. So I'm clear now that I'm there that I put the wrong answer because I put something.
Right. So 7 isn't positive. 7 is what it cost you.
Okay, so I'll read what I wrote. So,
yeah.
So 7, what it cost me, and my main focus was financial security. Because I've been, like I applied for thousands and thousands of jobs and had, and would give people like these really stellar like business ideas and they wouldn't fucking hire me. Part of my French.
That's
Uh,
okay.
and yeah, I would have that kind of stuff happen over and over and over. So, you know, yeah, it costs me money over and over and over and over again.
Okay.
So that's
So
what.
nothing should interfere with your affect or lessen your value as, I'm assuming you're a salesman
Um,
or worker, employee, whatever whatever word works for you. Just you can put it in there, but you don't want anything interfering with it. Meaning, you need your security in place. That's your livelihood. So nothing should interfere with that.
got it. Um, and so I'm afraid that none of my products will ever sell, and none of my business ventures will ever be successful.
Okay.
So I think that's it, right?
Yeah. And I do always tell you guys there are no wrong answers. And that is true, but sometimes we don't put the correct answer into the worksheet. So I don't want to say your answers are wrong, but I do want to make sure you're implementing them right so that you get the biggest bang for this worksheet. So if you get, like I said to Mark, if you get stuck, go back and look at your resentment. What's your resentment about? Your answers should reflect that resentment. So sometimes what I'll tell people is keep putting the person's name in each time you read the question because we get off track. We start thinking about ourselves because we have these huge egos that we're trying to keep at bay. And we're like, it's about me. It's about me. I got to keep making it about me. Well, it is, but it isn't. We want it to be about reality, not that big ego that we keep getting blown up and it keeps getting in our way and messing with our lives. So just, you did great, Mark, considering, it's the first one you've read to me. I don't know how many you've done, but you did a great job. The fear column, a lot of people struggle with. You didn't have any struggle at all with that. So that's fantastic. And really just staying on track so that we don't, go off on a tangent because that's what we do. We don't like to stay in reality very much. So, did anyone hear anything that they needed to ask a question about or understand when people were reading their sheets? I hope it helped to do your own, when you do them at home. And you can always, like I say, send me an email and say, I'm not quite sure if I'm doing this right or if this is making sense. And we'll go over them. This is why step 4 takes so long, because these sheets are pretty intense. It's an intense amount of information. It's an intense amount of emotion that goes into them, whether it's actual resentment of the anger or, like Joel was saying, these are people that I love, but I have resentments towards, and I'm kind of torn up about it. That's a normal response. We're not used to doing that. We're used to covering up everything that happens in our lives with our addiction. So when things get tough and we don't want to deal with it, that's when we would pick up or use whatever it is that we use. Because it's easier than feeling that feeling in my gut that I have a resentment towards my dead father, but he did screw up, but I did love him and I think he loved me, but there's this chaos in my body that's going on. But that's the chaos that we have to completely get rid of. That's what prompts us to use our addictions because we just want to feel good. And thinking that our parents might not have been perfect doesn't make us feel good. We'd rather have a drink than admit that maybe our mother and father screwed us up or screwed themselves up. Nobody wants to feel that way. It's not a great place to be, but it's also not unusual. There's no manual that they send home from the hospital on how to raise a baby perfectly. And we've seen enough slides now on our genetics to know that there's pretty good chance that our parents were suffering too, just as we are. Probably different looking issues, but all the same at the end of the day. So we, our parents didn't wake up one day and say, oh, I think I'll damage my children because I've got nothing better to do. It doesn't work like that. Nor did we do it. We didn't know what we didn't know, and they didn't know what they didn't know. And this is not resentments. These sheets are not about blame or holding anyone accountable or any of that. This is about figuring out why we feel distressed in our lives based on past events. Now, if we took some of these events, of these resentments, and confronted some of the people with them, they probably wouldn't know what we were talking about, because this is our perception of what happened. And I'll give you my most favorite analogy is myself and a friend walk out of my house and it's pouring out. And she gets all upset and she doesn't want to leave because it's raining and she doesn't like rain and the rain is awful. And I love the rain and I would go anywhere in the rain. I just think it's wonderful. So is the rain bad or is the rain good? The rain is neither. It's our perception of the rain. We're both right and we're both wrong because the rain is neutral. So that's what we're getting at. We're looking at our perceptions of things, including our parents, our children, our grandchildren, anybody that we've loved. If we weren't in a close relationship with somebody, we're not probably even going to have a resentment towards them. So, that's what we're doing. We're cleaning house. And I encourage you not to feel bad about doing that because it's what's messing up your house now, even when you don't know it. When you thought you were doing great and you pick up your addiction and you can't figure out why, this is why. These resentments weren't dealt with. So once these resentments get taken care of and you get them out of your life, that's when you really can live and love without all that tension in your body saying, oh, I don't know if I can I trust this? Can I trust this person? Well, they did this, they did that. None of that will matter. You come to a whole new place where you're not racking up resentments that you got to work on for the next 5 years. It just doesn't happen. You're in a new state of mind. The ego is gone. It's been lifted. That's the spiritual awakening. The ego has gone. And your higher power steps in its place. So when you're really ready to let that ego go completely, that's when you will really see the difference in how your higher power is supporting you in your life. Always been supporting you, but we're not seeing it because we're so focused on ourselves. It's like we have a mirror held up to our face and we can only see ourselves. And when we put that mirror down, there's a whole world out there waiting for us with our higher power's support. Because this is how we got here. We didn't think we had support from whatever age. And we need to support ourselves and we need to depend on a higher power. Because whatever got us here is going to get it even better. Because imagine what we've all gone through. And now we're going to come out of it and live the rest of our lives in a much better place. It won't erase the past. We don't need to. But it takes the past out of our gut and out of that place in our brain that says, go pick up, because I don't want to think about what happened. I don't want to remember. I just want to keep it pushed down till something shows up like cancer or an illness or an injury. We have to let all that crap go. So anyone who would like to work on their pictures, I would love to see them at any time. If you didn't get a chance tonight or you didn't see that part of the homework, or for whatever reason, it just wasn't ready, definitely bring them next week. And I believe next week, we're going to probably start on column 4. Column 3 is really great, but column 4 is going to bring it home. It's really the best part of the whole 4th step is that second sheet that turns everything around so that we can see it for what it really is. So look over your third sheets, your third column sheets, see if you have any issues, or you can run it by us. Or run it, however you want to do it so that you can get an idea that you are doing right. I don't want you to go do 20 resentments and then find out, oh my gosh, I didn't do it right. It's a lot of work. So if you're not sure, just ask. Really simple. Really, really simple. And I'll figure out a way to get you so pinpointed on it, you'll be able to really fill it out. So no more questions. I will do the serenity prayer. And anyone that wants to join. God, please grant us the serenity
To
accept
accept
the
The
things
things I cannot
change,
change.
courage
to
to
change
change the things we
and
can,
and the
and the
wisdom.
wisdom to know the difference.
Difference.
Oh, I might be dead.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.